people that really color that people originally thought it did. Maintaining hydration.
Helps a lot.
Helps a lot.
Andy said he was coming. I was with him today.
Yeah.
Got that bridge built.
I saw that. That was
Bridge Street. Harry Pratt South Trail.
So your
right off
your
your
other job is parking.
coming
You're doing a lot of trail stuff.
from
Right, I know.
water
Oh, you're not?
plant.
Yeah.
That part of the
Yeah.
with that. And so
Hi.
Jen won't let me, so no.
Okay.
I can't say the R word. I am very happy for you, but also very rice.
like before you get to the road, there goes to the street. The
Used to be the bump. I was wondering how the heck you're that way. I'm like,
Yeah.
To the chair. This is HM. We are live and recording.
Okay, thank you.
22.
You're welcome.
Of the bump.
Yeah. and so-
that we started the other part of it.
I couldn't down. That's what
I do love it,
Yeah.
but
Can you go off on Jen's folder and see, can you see the latest? I mean,
not the one that's emailed.
no, I mean the folder for tonight, because I.
Okay, yeah, I guess I looked up the minute. I was able to get the the general committee. I've never gone here for the agenda.
7 o'clock, but we're having some technical difficulties, so we're gonna take a couple of minutes to try to get that sorted out. Before we start.
It's been awesome.
Here in for that.
Big wish folder in India.
Let's kick this
Very
off.
much. Yeah, well,
There's a folder.
they're likely to say it's not serious.
Hey, Chuck.
Right, just to let you know, the video only shows, okay, from, Ken, a little bit of, somebody's
Yeah,
head,
sure.
I'm not sure, and back, and shows lots of the hallway, but does not show the,
Right.
near end of the table.
Yeah, I think we told them about this. Unfortunately, they didn't listen.
Yeah, it doesn't show me and it doesn't show Linda. And while that's I think that's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
net.
Scott,
It balances
I can
out.
see, oh, that's Linda's head, okay, got it.
That was shiny on the top, that's net.
Right.
Okay, so there a little bit.
Down there.
Right, you can. So if I have any sort of facial expression, you don't have to do that. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, good. Okay, so are we almost?
Almost. So I have to open. You have to let me.
Should I go downstairs and see if anyone's?
I put a note up
Oh, you did?
on.
And or a note down, the note's on the floor.
The first floor, down in the basement, just on the first floor.
The first floor, there's a note.
I
on the-
put that on the floor and then there's also one on the door downstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't. Hold on, just, am I in?
Could be.
Oh, Scott.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and spray painted the trees and, yeah. Oh, looks great.
Okay.
oh, no, this isn't the document. I have my whole computer set up to do this. Set.
It being 7 o'clock or shortly thereafter, we're gonna get started on Trails Committee meeting.
So I can't take minutes.
Hmm. We're gonna be doing this both remotely in accordance with state guidelines and in person. Have 5 members here, so have a forum, so we can get started. Oh, wait.
Scott, whether it's questions for the public.
Right. To record it.
Oh, recording isn't the issue. Oh, it's a recording. Yeah. Are there?
Do we have any comments from the public? Or any of us? Anything we've heard around or,
What happened to our meeting room on stage?
you know, they put it up, open.
Apparently, did anybody there's,
Yes, Chuck.
Could be considered a comment from the public. As you are looking at future budget, I would be willing to relinquish the honor of being the doggy do collector. If you were able to hire somebody to do it, the rec department has somebody deal with the Fruit Street, the bins at the dog park. So again, as I say, I would be willing to relinquish that honor if you found a budget for it.
I was gonna propose that be considered under item 4 of the agenda, under the town charter. I forgot to bring that up last meeting because Parks and Rec now outsources it. And I was hoping there was a way that we could piggyback on top of that.
That sounds good.
Let's talk about it for. Okay.
Sean. You can officially go to King James. Because it seems a problem.
Well, John is Irish for John, right? So you can just go with John. Sure. Okay. And
That's what it is.
we can have a motion to that effect. All in favor of Home and Honey, for John.
Yeah.
All righty. Did everyone have a chance to look at the April 15th minutes?
there's changes. Let me open that up. Okay, so one of them is that the high school cross country course was discussed, but wasn't one of the items, so I took the number off of it because the items should correspond to the items on your working groups.
It was, it's under the broad.
It is,
It's,
F. It's 2F. On today's agenda, it's 2F. So if you kept the same sequence.
Oh, I thought you did in the agenda. I thought you meant the master list of projects, Peter. When you told me the numbers need to line up, I don't know. I thought you meant with Sean's
Right.
list.
yeah.
I thought I had those in sync, but okay. So
Are, if they are great, so then this should be to,
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, it was part of that broad.
so I don't know if that was in the minutes or not, but it is. Oh, so is it part of area for Center Trail then?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna move this down. Do it right now. We may have talked about it out of order.
Think so. I think it was covered. Yeah, my point was that the minutes, the minute letters didn't match up with the others, so there's a, what was in the agenda, so they should.
So I just moved that down. Have the spacing offline if people are okay with that.
Yep.
And then the other change was that G really covered G, H, I, and J on our list. I wrote up the budget information wrong. And Sean corrected this. We had decided to approve the proposal for Echo, conditionally approve Gary Acres parking, assuming Concom accepted it, defer the Center Street parking, Center Trail.
Claflin Place Center Trail, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We,
Right.
we deferred that because we were waiting on the DPW platform work. So if everybody is okay with those changes, we could vote to agree. Them offline.
Ken's comment about Claflin spelling.
It's the second to last for you.
It's because it's spelled wrong.
First time,
Yeah, for
there you go.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
yes.
Okay, one extension. Alrighty. Already project updates. Starting with A, so the idea is let's try and be roughly around 6 minutes on this and then,
I think I can make it brief. I just briefly read all of your changes, and I think it's too much for any of us to consider, and probably the rest of the minute members. I'm not sure if you've seen either suggestions.
So
Yeah,
that would be about.
He sent it out this afternoon.
But to clarify, our
Yeah.
our scope is indeed,
Well, indeed, because it drastically changes what we thought we were supposed to be working on.
Okay.
Is it okay to summarize the comments, the detail? Julia's comments here,
No, it's too much detail.
but the summary basically,
Yeah, I can tell you, yeah, basically,
Jen and I were working on the assumption that we were not dealing with the East Main to
because we thought that otherwise,
and just with the legacy north and State Park.
it was mentioned in nine minutes.
And leaders, I mean, it makes sense. I wish we'd known before, honestly, but just bad communication.
Oh, I mean, I don't think any ground was lost because I think we have, we've already gotten to a certain point with the initial work with the east to Legacy North, which is what needed looked at in more detail at Legacy North on the state park. As we're putting a proposal together to look at that work, should cover, and segment one is the whole.
And that just understand, we thought we were in a different direction. So this, I think we just need to go back to the drawing board.
Well, I just want to ask the question, can we just split them up? Why?
Well, that's what we thought we were doing, but Peter has
Why?
a
Why
different.
would you split them up? It's,
One is done, it's approved, do they have to listen?
So we're splitting up some of the discussion and maybe some of what we agree on. We're not saying that they'd have to, it wouldn't make sense to these proposals together. I don't think that we're.
No, but to Peter's point, and to be honest, I really have only looked at the first page. I just saw this a few minutes ago. But yours is more collective and takes in the whole project in a more holistic approach. We were really narrow and focused on
Right.
just the northern side of it.
Mhm.
So by adding the south, I think it changes I think it changes it in that the scope has to be broader. And it's just gonna need some more work.
It doesn't,
Can we move forward with the mapping?
yeah.
Okay, so I move forward that we get Beals and Thomas to do the mapping of the north section of Legacy North.
So I have a proposal from Beals and Thomas for $4,500. And,
For,
do that mapping of the northern end and to adjust the old map to add in the piece we walked. Or to put that piece in.
yeah, can you?
Okay, all right, so let's not combine the two right now. So the $4,500 is just the north or the north and the reconnect?
What I asked them to do was, I said, basically, we've done the southern piece.
Correct.
We're looking to do the same thing over from Legacy North over to Hoffman State Park. There's some little trails in there. But we also ultimately, we're going to be looking for one big map to cover the whole thing.
Yes,
At that point, they'll have both maps. It's an easy deal to make one map out of it, which
Okay.
is why it went from 3,500 to 4,500 to just and make one change on the south,
on the old map,
on the old side.
basically routing along the base of the water retention wall
Correct. Add that in
and the dotted line,
on the dotted line.
as a dotted line,
Add dotted line.
because it's not,
Because it's not built.
right.
Right.
Okay, I'm in.
And let me just ask too, so when you, so looking at the north side now, when we're on the pipeline, you know, you have those two little pieces of pipeline. When you're heading down to get to the Sir Walter Raleigh Trail, if you go another 200 yards, on the right is the entrance to the Deer Run trails. Should we, as part of that mapping, include that you get to the entrance of Deer Run? I mean, that makes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so last time what happened was I got together with Dave from Beals and Thomas, and we walked it into this trail that I want to get in. What I see happening is you guys doing that, and you can walk with him and say, this trail goes in, you know.
I think that would be important to.
Yeah, absolutely.
With him as well.
Absolutely.
And you got a quote for $4,500?
Correct.
It is way less. I mean, it's basically an existing single trail for.
I mean, you can,
One trail.
you can counter. I mean,
So-
I'm saying to expand it. a
Do you have the quote or?
Yeah, what is this?
I just got that today.
Based on what you're saying, Peter, I'm in favor. I would like to look at this in more detail, not tonight. But I would like to. Not going into enough detail here, but based on what you're saying, I think it's good.
Yeah.
And based on what we received on the southern section, the expectation it would be the same,
Right.
and then we'll have a bigger map.
And then we'll have, I see us having two maps, one for each of the areas, and then one that covers the whole thing.
A bigger, like smaller, smaller scale map. Yep,
And
totally get it.
in Andy's point, it can point to those trails that go to other areas.
Pointer, I heard a little bit of an extension on the map.
Well, it's a path now.
It's a path is there, but we're not asking them to add Deer Run to the whole
They're
thing,
not here.
out of the trail out to it, yeah.
So going back to Jane's comment about your feedback and kind of some of the questions here. And then we all honed in on suggesting that maybe initially otherwise we discuss or agree on mapping. But is a that we to the mapping, refine portion that Jane has worked on in terms of documenting. Continue that forward and then in parallel and then join them without slowing down.
Well, actually, I was thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, move forward with the map,
Yeah,
and
right.
then
So,
Yeah.
Andy, Jane, and I will regroup on that.
Yeah,
I
Right.
think we also need to meet with this.
Oh, yeah, no, but you're running in parallel.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's exactly it. Because Andy and Jane are gonna meet with Beals and Thomas to do the mapping. And then if you guys want my help, I'd be happy to sit down again, go through the proposal.
That would be helpful.
I mean, it's important to have the full context, obviously in mind and communicate that, but I think it sounds good. Okay, there's-
And Peter, can you scan this and then,
And then
upload it?
No, I'll just send, I just printed a copy. I got it on electronic.
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
send it.
yeah. So yeah, if you have a
I'll
soft
send it to
copy,
you three.
no, upload it and send a link.
Yeah.
No, he's talking a different one.
I know. I can actually do that.
What,
There you go.
you can? Well, I would
Yeah,
say,
no, it should
send him a
go.
Word doc, then you can upload it and do a link. How does that sound?
So given the time of year, would people be in favor of conditionally approving
I think
the survey pending or maybe a small group review of the proposal or
Well, I don't think so. I think with the map, I think we
can
move
we go
forward.
forward with it? Okay.
Yeah.
That was probably a forward motion. I thought you were saying you needed a further review.
No, and I think we have budget too. Oh, we have plenty of budget. That, yeah.
Well, you hadn't got to the proposal, you were suggesting later.
And then our little subgroup will take this under consideration
Right.
and
Carol.
see if we can incorporate
Yeah,
the suggested changes.
So you don't want anyone to review that until you guys have reworked.
I think all of the committee members need to review this.
All of us.
All of us.
And there's an email, I think the version that Peter last sent, so it came sometime.
You didn't send it to us.
Oh, it's
We
just.
haven't seen it. That's what I-
I didn't see it.
All right, so we should go get that to you.
It got sent out late this afternoon.
You want us to see that before you guys.
Yeah, I think because it drastically, it changes what we thought, what we originally proposed to you folks.
So you're gonna send that out to everyone?
No, Peter has got to be.
No, it
No,
was us.
they got.
I didn't get it.
One of you three has to send it to the whole committee.
Oh, okay.
I will make sure it goes out to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I can check. It's fine.
Can I just say that?
I haven't even looked at it, so.
Can I just say that the original proposal for Peter did his, there was one thing in the new version that I found missing. It didn't say anything about the surface. What was the thinking on the surface of those
I
trails?
can't tell you about having your,
I think so, some of us.
So some does, okay, because I.
well, as long as it says a
No.
hard surface.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
what you suggest.
again, the focus is changing. So this is
This is definitely a multi-use.
eventually. First step I see is a trail that allows residents of Legacy Farm, north, south, downtown, if they want to come all the way down the sidewalk, go to the Marathon Center, and get over to Hopkins State Park through that back entrance. Initially, a trail that's clear and usable, which it's not right now.
No, it's.
It gets badly right now it is, but it's badly overgrown in the summer, so that needs to get addressed. That rock pile that you have to go through,
It's huge.
the only place I've fallen in a trail running was in that area, because there's tons of little rocks, so it needs to be better as a trail surface. Then yes, it needs to be
It's a
upgraded,
wooded path to start.
wooded path, but a good wooded path. That's-
So let's,
I
we have to.
with that, yeah.
Well, I don't think we need to talk about the details anymore. If it wasn't in the, if you have a comment saying, hey, I'd like to know what the surface is, that should be in the comment of the original proposal.
Okay,
But we're looking at shared use to Legacy North, and then from Legacy North, we're not thinking with a path.
I think eventually,
I think there are other things out there that.
eventually it's shared use.
Well, yeah.
But I think.
But we don't have to decide it now, right?
Yeah.
Pre-serve it,
Okay.
correct?
No, but this is just an overall goal.
Yeah,
It says we have to do it this year or next
Right.
year.
Right.
Well, I think that's what Peter's saying, it's phased in, right?
Well, that could be
So I
in
think-
different sections. It says it's a phased
Right.
project, but I think we were looking at this and I could be wrong, but this was an overall goal. What we ultimately want it to look like.
Right.
And I don't think that we ultimately want it to look like a wooded path.
no, but in the phasing part.
We could mention that, maybe we could be specific in saying phase one would be just to clear it, make it visible.
I honestly think it's critical to do that in the proposal. And really,
I think it's honest and
But I
straightforward.
think we have to be a little careful and not get the cart before the horse, because when you think about it, we're now opening up access. Right now, the DCR controls access to the park by the main gate.
They may have,
We're now opening a whole new approach for a lot of people, and that may be fine. I mean, it certainly seems of value to them to have more users, but we ought to be talking to them before we go out there to, you know,
that can be stated out in
Yeah.
the phased
Mm.
approach.
absolutely. A
But
walking path they're not gonna mind when as we
Well,
operate, they may be going, hey, hold on, let me think about that.
the path already exists, and there are,
Right.
people are already doing that.
And I don't.
And we want to go through DCR property to do this, and they may say something different.
Mhm.
So
Such an advantage.
they may say, no, that's not what we're interested in. I don't know. We have to meet with them again. People we spoke with, 5 or 6 years ago could be not even there anymore.
But that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I think that all could be addressed in this proposal. It is a proposal.
Mhm.
It's not saying that this is the way we are going to do it. It's just something that we're suggesting. This is what we hope to accomplish.
But I mean, I think as far as phasing goes, and one more, but right now, you're correct, there are there, but if you don't know, you're not gonna be able to find them. No, sign it.
Yeah.
So it can go to the level of,
Can we go back to the map? I move that we accept Beals and Thomas Code of $4,500.
Second,
all in favor, signify by saying.
Sometimes we sit down, we talk about it, and maybe you should
Yeah.
come to the meeting and then we can hash out all this stuff.
Let's get
Have
a
a
vote.
vote open.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Say yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Unanimous and so carries. Good, okay. I will cross that off our budget items for down the road. All right. Legacy Farms Northeast parking, there's been no major change. I did talk to Chuck about getting a request for termination, an exemption letter, put together, send the Concom. Hopefully we can get that into the next meeting. I'll do that. Chuck reviews it. Once that's in, Elaine has agreed that we can spend the 10,000 that we have set aside for that work, for the parking, regardless of what the gas company says. She's fine with that. So,
Can you just repeat what you said, because,
okay.
sorry.
So we have $10,000 set aside for that parking lot. That's $25. So we want to that. In talking to Chuck, he thinks that we can get approval for that work from Concom through an exemption request. I'll put together, he'll review at the Conservation Commission, hopefully for their next meeting.
so would you expect? Start? Chuck?
I think the term that I believe that is a little strong. I would hope that they would.
Yes.
We certainly have a case for it.
Yeah.
So hope.
Okay.
Because that has to be done by the end of June or the end of May.
The money's encumbered, so there's technically
Okay.
nothing, but Cindy will start bugging if we don't.
Right.
Pretty good about being bugging on a regular basis, so.
Okay.
So we wanted, it's old money, we'd like the books and tell her, hey, doing when. Berry Acres,
We completed the trail reroute on May 9th, and the decommissioning was done earlier this week. It's done, so
Amazing.
2C is done.
Berry Acres, the Center Trail, the trail. Contract's been awarded, it been told last time it's going to Adam West, the local landscape guy.
I don't think people
think you said it at that Trails Club meeting.
Trails Club. Okay,
And on the trails walk.
right. So we had 7 bids.
The Adam Moose
Adam West,
from Batman?
not Batman.
Okay,
So yes, there were 7 bids came in. 3 were actually within the range of the dollars that we had. Adam was the low bid. So he had gone through and signed the contract and all that good stuff with the town. His plan is to start work on June 1. Most recent correspondence to him was to try and coordinate getting him and Tim Person, who's the school's ground person, together, because the school is doing their paving, repaving of the loop road, so they can coordinate on that. That's supposed to start or beginning of July, end of June, so.
A quick question. First of all, I think it's all great. I just have a question about the process and how the bidding process actually came out. I opened the envelopes, but where did that actually happen and who was present?
Second floor in the main room, so anyone could be present. I was doing the little sheet of writing what people put the bids in at. And Ritika, who's the procurement officer, was the one reading the bids and making sure everything was in there.
I appreciate the fact that anyone could come, but did you let the committee members know? Because that would have been interesting to go to it.
Did not, I mean, it's,
And then maybe in the future we
Yeah.
could do that, because I think there's a few of us saying here still. Yeah,
Have to practically register as a meeting. What if we got a quorum there, then?
well, when the bids went out, so you did have the information in the bids, that did say when the bids were gonna be opened, and then it's gonna be a public bid opening.
yeah.
Oh, it's fine, yeah, we could have done it.
We could have done it.
Yes. Yep.
What's the status of the bridge?
Status of the bridge is, contract hopefully is in process with Pat. So that should start in parallel with the, for June 1, in parallel with the other work.
So the town hasn't signed off the contract yet, or they have?
They have not, yeah, so it's in process though. So Ritika was looking at it and making her, she often has a lot of questions, or not a lot of questions, but a few, so she's good about that.
And when do you think the start of the construction of the bridge will be?
June 1.
June?
Primary butter there is dead, still for sale, that property there.
Right.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, there's a picnic stuff before.
Yeah, let's hope.
University process is still,
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
would a notice need to go out for that? Federal? Roof is in the butter, yeah. Would a notice need to go out?
We should, but it can be a little more
Like formal?
right. I'm still have prompted this committee to say, hey, you've got a new bidding. We want to get in front of you to tell you what we're doing. And to your point, we could certainly put a note out for the neighbors to let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always.
Good for branding.
so that's 10 days away then when this might start. When would we wanna, who would get that notice out and when?
So on the work will start on the school side. So I would say anytime we can start that process, but it doesn't have to be, we're not under line of
It's
June
not a,
until
yeah,
we start in their backyard.
you don't have to have a meeting to learn anything.
Why don't we just do the same thing we just did about Echo?
Do something like that.
What was that thing?
What did you say?
Yeah, we put a sign up at the entrance. We,
Sorry, I thought this is about the bridge.
Yeah, he was saying do the same process.
Notifying them.
Oh, so just let people know that
yeah,
Yeah.
work is happening,
right,
not get feedback. Okay.
Right.
Okay,
It's sort of the process that we have, that we've done, when we did the, parking.
did we ever get feedback from neighbors about this?
Well, okay, let's.
No, but it's more of a.
Yes.
like,
Let's back up a little bit, okay? So we had to go through Concom, we had to go through public notice, we had to do all that stuff. We sent the letters to everybody about the shared use path 12 months ago,
Yes.
right? So that was all, the
What's
abutters,
this?
right, abutters all know that this is happening. What they don't know is the timing.
Right. That is a good point to remind the lines. It's a lot.
And we should in that, I think maybe remind people that they were made aware of
Yeah.
the conflicts.
I'm not even sure I would open that. Like, it's just, we're just like Echo, we're like, hey. This is
We've
what,
never had a Concom notification to neighbors.
we didn't say that, though. It just, what do they need to
It was
know? They need to know
just
that parking's gonna be closed.
Yeah, just more of a convenience,
You know, it's just,
courtesy.
You were coming.
yeah.
Will someone
Yeah, it's
write
a-
that
it's a
notice up and then if they get it some meetings, I can.
Sure.
Just do rough bullets. Chuck, did you have a pen? I thought I heard it.
It and then backed off. Alrighty, Legacy Farms South. Andy and Ken, I understand you both were actually going out there?
Yeah, we did. Well, there, yeah, water tips are present. Water tips are present. There's two beaver dams, systems now that are blocking right around where the bridge is, for Legacy Farm South. So that waterway is blocked by dams just downstream of it. That is flooding the trails that are. So where the kiosk is, there's a trail that heads on the. And that is underwater.
So due south from Kiosk is underwater.
Yeah, that's right. And the one that goes a little more westerly, it's also a little, which goes to the pond.
Okay.
That is also a little bit underwater because another set of beaver dams has blocked drainage of that pond. That set of beaver dams is further downstream than I've ever seen, with the result that that pond is now bigger than it used to be. So consequently, in order to get from to the part of the trail that's west of the apartments from the kiosk, pretty much have to go through a 6 inches of puddle. And I suggest that we reroute the trail on higher ground farther away from the pond to avoid that, which I think we could do. So all their other trails, the Legacy Farm South that are closer to Clinton Street are perfectly fine because the beavers didn't touch the stream that comes from Clinton Street. And so,
Yeah.
Where they used to be, where they used to be.
yeah, right. So and because of the drought, the whole trail system from Clinton Street is completely dry right now with hardly any puddles. It's not even hardly damp. I say that's because of the drought, because many a springtime, even without beaver days, that trail out had 6 inches of water in it a lot of the times, but now it doesn't because there hasn't been that much rainfall. So Andy and I walked through my favorite way to reposition that trail anyway. I want the trail to go a little farther south than Nursery Road because it's a little higher in ground. But also for another reason, the trail looks great right now, but it's all grass, which means that grass is going to grow up and it's going to need constant attention with the grass from just being loose on its own. But it'd be hard to mow. If we try to put any boards in there to do anything in the water, and you've got both boards and grass, and then it'd be even harder to mow. So long term, I think that we got to reposition the trail, but I need a bigger buy-in from other people. But anyway, Andy and I did take a look at it. And connectivity wise, I guess is the question. We do need that. There is a function for those trails
Well, I think it's sensible to come out to Clinton Street because we've got the whole, aspect of, the existing legacy farms sidewalk being something you really want to connect to.
Yeah, if we create a loop.
Yeah, we can create a loop that way. Hopefully, eventually that, the Ashland will able nation of the legacy farm south sidewalk out to Polo Street. Already in the head. Part of the way that. This sort of, there's my. Anyway, because of that though, there's further interest.
Right. That's we had talked about that.
But, I'd say the most urgent thing, given the existing beaver dam, I think to devote some attention if people think that I'm right, that to reposition the trail close to the pond. Yeah.
No, I'd like you to sort of.
And now.
Okay, I can handle it.
That would be helpful and just say, all right, this is where the problematic areas are and then strategize. These are the first 5 things I would like to address. And if you want to talk about connectivity, that would help with the prioritization.
Okay.
So start on the proposal, but especially the map, just.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you still get to the trails to be there? So if you're at the kiosk and you go out on the road,
What you do is you just go over the actual road bridge.
right,
And that,
then
it's fine.
those are all fine.
And those are all fine.
Yeah, so that, to one of your points.
Admittedly, at any time, a beaver could decide to.
Yeah.
cut that.
Well, some of that's actually high, but to one of your points, Sean, from walking in Legacy North, this is an area that we actually walked, Chuck Joseph and I walked with Peter Mezet and his project manager, and just looking at the number of different species in there, and it really could be a little arboretum.
South or north?
South.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's one spot where you can see 8 different conifers. And just standing in one spot, and I don't think there's very many where you can do that. You know, and Peter was enthused about getting that educational bill. It's a L trail.
Really cool. Oh, so you're here's that.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's almost exactly a mile trail, so it'd be a great thing for kids to come and, all right, do that loop.
But I think the first action is to get a map, start drafting proposal, start to prioritize. Well, you know, where we should concentrate our efforts.
Right.
And ideally have that proposal at least a week before the next meeting.
Okay.
And if you're gonna provide feedback to anybody, don't do it the day before.
Okay.
That's just not fair.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And we have a template that you can use for the proposal. I can send that to you guys.
Okay.
You'll do it.
All right, and I'll get back out. I need to have some.
Chuck?
There are a lot of sections of the trails there, which in my opinion, would qualify as wetlands
Oh, yes.
and therefore would require either boardwalks or fill and replication. So I think a part of the planning should be to at least, get Beals and Thomas or whoever to at least go over the existing trails and mark the limits of the wetlands so you have an idea of the extent of regulatory issues you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah, it's gonna be extensive.
Yeah.
No question.
Even areas that, look like upland.
Yeah.
In an altered area like that, a mown area, you basically got to use soils, and a lot of that's going to come up hydric, and therefore technically wetland. There's on the route in from Clinton Street, there's a stormwater basin on the north side that discharges across the trail, and that is not helping issues. But there's substantial areas that are technically wetland, in my opinion.
We kind of talked about areas that may be abandoned.
We could talk about it. I think if they are, make a case that they talk about all the legacy farms south as wetlands.
Yeah,
You know, which would, I don't know what that means.
Lots of board.
So let's get a map. Let's prioritize the projects and the ideas and the action items.
Because because it's almost never all flooded. I mean, it is occasionally flooded, and it depends on beavers and all on what it is, but they can control flooding about acres and acres there.
Well, it sounds like this was a good start, and it also sounds like there's a huge issue with the wetlands. And probably it's gonna take some work to figure out what we do about that.
Yeah, I think that,
Whether it's abandoned some parts, whether it may be way more than what you just suggested with the rerouting based on what
I
Chuck was
think
just saying.
I think there's sort of two components to it. One is this mile-long trail, which has probably small sections that can be dealt with.
That's mostly-
We actually had money at apply for CPC funds, and got CPC funds to do a little bit,
that part of
but a
it.
scout was supposed to do and never happened. So, and yeah, that part's basically dry, but the area mostly to the west and out to Clinton Street, I think, is wetlands. I think it's important to get it on a map, Don's point.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, so that's gonna be a longer term, right, project, and if we're moving trails, whatever, but having it on the map is the first step, so.
Okay.
In the reroute math that we had, it wasn't obviously higher. It was like, we think it's higher, so it would be useful, I think.
But I judge it's higher by having walked there when it's flooded.
Yeah, all right, yeah, so you had that.
So in the interest of not going into more details about Legacy South, I think we still need a bigger picture approach on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start with the map, go down with prioritize or priorities of where we think we should focus our efforts.
Okay.
I don't think it's in the best interest of this committee to go into the details like this, honestly. I think this should be done subgroups.
I agree.
All right, moving on, Acre Center Trail, long-term strategy.
So we have two Eagle Scout projects, right? There's the high school cross-country course, which I have no idea what's the status. Um,
So they've done first phase of clearing. A big chunk of the piece along that south side of Field 13. They did a work day or a couple of work days there. They just got a delivery of wood chips. That's gonna be some of the additional section moving on. I marked out where the wood chips were supposed to go and cleared it and talked to them, and they put them in a different place. So they're on grass right now, so I reached out to them and say, get it off the grass, that's our grass. But so there's still, and he's looking at having a work day, May 31st.
who signs off on it ultimately? Did you find out? Did you ever hear?
I assume it's Laura, so I did not talk to her again, trying to get some of the other coordination, school committee.
So end of May, you're expecting that to be done?
Yeah. The other piece will be more complicated. Gonna work with Chuck on that. Those are the pieces that are in the woods right now. And Chuck and I have talked about going through this flagging a path that's sufficiently sized to allow a cross-country race to happen on it. And then move.
This is outside the scope of the Eagle Scout project.
Correct.
All right, so
Yes.
let's stick with the Eagle Scout.
So Eagle, that's where the Eagle Scout project.
And so there's another Eagle Scout project for the Hope Trail to build a 30-foot boardwalk and a couple benches.
Yeah.
And then we have the middle school cross-country course, which we have roughly $3,500 of CPC funding.
Yeah.
Which I believe you said we're gonna. Is that okay with you?
Find it.
So then we have the middle school cross-country course, Peter, where you, myself, Chuck, and a contractor walk it.
Yeah.
I just walked it. I don't see what needs to be done, honestly. So I need a little bit of education on that.
Right. It's a drainage issue, so and we haven't had significant rains. See where the problems are. It's actually much better. So one of the things I talked about a little with Chuck is some of it may just be some additional handwork. did make some improvement. We did a work day out there. I think Ken ran into a yellow jacket nest, which shut that work down. I think that was huge with that. Along the middle school cross-country course trail.
Oh, maybe,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
so, but there may be some value in doing the sort of fee, $3,500 worth of additional.
All right, so regardless, we need to still walk that with Scott maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you guys just summarize what you said, because I couldn't. Wait,
So the Eagle Scout project, the first Eagle Scout
I know
project,
the high school cross-country push one, it's the second one, I don't know.
Hope Trail,
Mhm.
30-foot boardwalk. Be sometime this summer and a couple benches.
Okay, and what's this, so it'll be done this summer?
So I think it's gonna be, my God, it's gonna be finished this summer. It's a relatively easy project. I need to do a walkthrough with Chuck. The timing is with, you gotta go through Halt and Concom and the school. And so you got 3 committees that you need to present to, and that's what's gonna
That's what-
kick the time out.
Okay,
The actual building a 30-foot bridge is a few hours at most. And then you get on the middle school cross-country course. We have $3,500 left in CPC funding. Peter, Chuck, myself, and a contractor are gonna walk the trail at some point to see what can be done to improve the drainage of the track, the course.
Better handwork or like machine work.
And then the last is Eversource license agreement.
Right, we need to work on that, but it's,
So how do we move that forward?
I just gotta put that together. It's on me. Move forward.
The thing is, we can't make that connection from the school, so we're doing this, the shared use path, right, from the school to Chamberlain. And then we have the path from Chamberlain to Windsor.
Mhm.
And there's this one section of an old farmer's bridge that's rocky, unstable, unsafe, that we'd like to put a 40-foot boardwalk on, but that's on Eversource property. We can't do that until we have Eversource, this license agreement with Eversource,
Right, but there's other things that can be done.
not on Eversource property.
Right, right now, the trail that goes from Chamberlain down to Blueberry Acre, all the way down to West Main Street, that trail needs to be shifted to the east, out of the wetlands.
That's a different, right, I'm talking about the one that goes south and then goes straight to Windsor,
Mhm.
where we just did the trail route and the bridge. That you need to cross Eversource property. You have to cross Eversource property regardless,
Right,
at some point. This is a drier section, requires a 40-foot boardwalk. You can't do the boardwalk until we get their permission.
Right.
We can't get their permission until we have this license agreement in place.
working on it.
Mhm.
All right. And then you had the high school push. You and Chuck are gonna flag that?
Right. Yeah, Chuck, did you have a comment before on one of the earlier ones?
Yeah, I may have, and it probably escaped me. Nope, not sure what it was at the time.
Okay. Yeah, so there's other pieces, and it applies a little bit to the whole trail work. And both of those are going to require Concom approval. And in both cases, we want to be doing a exemption request if we can, and both are going to take a little dancing to get there, because if we have to go with NOI or even a request for termination, we're talking about sending out 100+ mans.
Oh, because the property's so big. Right.
Because it touches so many.
Understood. No, understood. But the high school cross-country course, it's separate from the whole. Right. They both have to go through common. Understood.
Yeah, it's,
And the high school cross-country course, this is a long-term vision, or do you see this happening in the next 12 months?
I see at least parts of it happening in the next 12 months, ideally in the next 6 months.
Like
But-
flagging and
Yes.
approval?
Yep.
So somewhere in this new conversation, was there ever a proposal written up for these projects?
Yeah,
I know some of
Around
them
your
were.
Berry Acre Center Trail, and it's like there's 5 projects, and
Oh,
I'm just wondering, are they all, have we reached all of those as priority F, or do we just keep adding one to it?
Well, the high school cross-country is its own sort of, it's been pulled into this, but it's its own separate piece with funding coming from the school and a focus and a push by the school, because their cross-country, right now they run cross-country down at the state park. They don't want to do that.
I guess my question is, when we came up with the list of priorities, A through
Right.
whatever, 1 through 12, were all of these things?
High school was not considered part of
Yeah, it
it.
seems like we're.
the cross-country course was not, but because it was an Eagle Scout project,
We
and
might-
it just made sense to talk about it when we're talking about the Berry Acres to Center Trail connection.
And I think a lot of these, I'm not sure how many were crossovers from the old trails.
This one wasn't. It was sort of, this was a Tim Kilduff special. So it
Yeah, so
came.
we could probably have some.
It'd be helpful to have either like a separate page on number.
In the Berry Acres Center Trail Master Plan, all of these are in there.
I understood.
Okay.
But, no, I'm saying in terms of the updates, because it gave a lot of great information, but the prairies within the prairies, there's a lot of people's place, so I don't know.
Yeah,
You guys have time
if there are
to drive it
individual.
forward, but-
Well, the Eagle Scout projects, I mean, it's just more of a consult. We're not really doing anything.
And-
And if the committee thinks that we shouldn't be talking about them at the meetings, well, it's fine.
No, it's good. It's
So
totally
fine.
fine.
I update the master document, and I just assume people are reading it.
Master document in the Berry Acres one,
Yep.
or the master list?
The one, so the master document, the Berry Acre Center Trail Master Plan, I update that.
Okay. Maybe what we should do then is I should include a link to that in the
Yeah, that would be good.
in a minute, or we have that in the agenda, just because it's a lot in one item.
Yeah, and
Helpful.
honestly, I have not.
Good info, regardless. Very helpful.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I thought that document was.
The only thing that's new is the whole trim, honestly. That's the only thing that we haven't talked about in the past. And the whole trail we did talk about because the scout presented at the last meeting, and that's why I got added.
Okay,
Yeah, the cross-country course is sort of its own separate thing.
We have talked about in
It's
the
in it,
past, yeah.
yeah. I mean, we
Yeah, so-
included it under ours, and I think it should be, but it's not something like where the route is something that I'll come back to the committee on, here's where it's gonna go, what do you think? It's gonna be, no, this is going because the directive is coming from.
The new, the new
cross-country
route course. Yes, that's separate. And, you know, I've heard about the concept. I've run through it with you. I didn't know it was ready to go for
I
proposal
think
yet.
that's great, but I have not heard of it. So.
No, I think the next stage is a proposal, just like we're doing with Legacy North.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It would be helpful.
yeah, absolutely.
Proposal for what?
The high school
school
cross-country
cross-country.
reroute.
then
All right, all right,
Parking.
parking. And B, H, I, and J be lumped.
Not, I would, okay.
I'll keep them separate. It just
Okay.
looks like these.
I think-
Bottom place. Go ahead.
So we met with DPW and we met with Elaine. And I informed the Respite Center shortly thereafter. And so the DPW is going to come in, they're going to start work on the driveway. And they, by making improvements for the drainage, for the new catch basins, they unintentionally, that lack of a better word, will be improving the parking area. Right? So the intent is not to improve the parking, the intent is to improve the drainage to the catch basins, of which the driveway, the roadway, the clapping place will drain into. And in order to get that to work effectively, because it's water, you need to make improvements to the parking.
Wonderful.
So then they're only gonna do so much. They're not gonna make a parking lot, they're not gonna make a parking area. So then we'll meet with Scott after the work is done, which is July 7th, and rescope the parking area.
We'll see.
We will see. And Rascot's very excited.
I'm sorry, why are you saying we'll see?
Well, there's a lot of ambiguity as to what's gonna happen.
Who's gonna do
How much
what?
they're gonna do,
Right.
what they're gonna
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
They can't adversely affect a neighbor with their drainage improvements.
Yeah.
It's
So,
complicated.
but they also can't do work on private property. But if they can't adversely affect, they may have to do, anyway, we'll see what.
Yeah.
July 7th, we'll see what's happened and then see whether more
Yeah.
work is not.
Yeah.
Basically.
Is it
Okay. H, Fruit Street, no action on that at this point.
I
May?
haven't done anything.
No, we haven't been out there.
We need to though.
We
My
should,
car's
okay.
bottomed out. Like
Okay.
I've been going there a lot and it's just,
All right, well, let's set up a time
okay.
offline to meet and go out there. Echo Trail,
Yes, sweet.
Echo Trail is, it's in pretty good shape.
Oh, we already speed do. Oh, nice. I'm going there tomorrow.
You got a picture? Nice.
I'll see if I can find my favorite picture, pass it around. There's a bunch. Just take a look at them, pass it around. You can just click it and just make it bigger. It's just that much, I can't recognize anything.
Under this picture's
Yeah.
a big improvement.
Yeah.
Really? Well,
Oh, it's good.
it's still good, right?
Looks very good out there. There's,
Yeah, good job.
Nice. Oh.
Thanks.
There you go.
yeah, check it out.
And I want to go out there tomorrow.
More roads.
So while we're talking about that, he put in a granite bench,
With the granite that was there.
the granite that was there, yep.
Some of the granite from the granite quarry, whatever. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's there. There's more granite up there.
There's tons of it.
On, Center Trail, we put in a couple of benches that actually hold it. And so while Scott's got equipment out there and while they've got granite out there, things for me would make sense to add that. I spoke to Maury
I'm sorry, I have what?
to add granite benches further down Echo Trail.
Move them.
What do you at Hughes?
Might be,
Yes, it's
might be nice
still-
there too, but this is,
I think Hughes Spread still had granite there too.
there is a
So I have to put my historical commission hat on for a minute. If you're removing a lot of granite, we're gonna talk about it.
we're not removing it, we're moving it down the trail.
Okay, so you want to talk about using other areas, but if it's staying in proximity, because a lot of it, honestly, me and my kids love it. We always stopped. We talk about how cool it was. We imagine what it was like. So from a historical perspective, as much of that can stay intact.
Okay. So
Very helpful.
I'm looking,
In favor.
okay, so I'm looking for a motion to, what we paid to Scott by about $1,000 to cover him as setting up one or maybe two benches using the existing granite while he's got the equipment sitting there
We're on Center Trail,
on Echo.
Echo Trail.
on Echo Trail.
Right.
Oh, along,
Yeah, along the.
Further, because he's already
Yeah.
got the equipment there,
Yeah.
the materials are there, it's like,
so moved.
And we have the money left in this year's budget, right?
Yes.
Could I put a caveat on it that Mike or myself go and see what granite's being moved? I'm in favor of doing it.
The caveat or the provision, conditional,
Okay.
with the
okay,
condition that
that's gotta be done.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Mike Rowan. Okay, Mike Rowan and I could meet. I'll go to more out of it.
Yeah,
And my only thought is the location, the placement of the benches. I just would leave that up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean,
The area.
we want one about halfway down. That's my father used to use these benches when he was sort of towards the end of his life. He'd want to go for walks, but having
Yeah, yeah,
benches
I think
every
strategically placed would be great.
while is really,
well, it's, what is it, 3/4 of a mile?
Yeah, but the kind of people who use that,
So,
kind of people who appreciate a bench every.
no, that's what I'm saying. I was thinking, if you do two benches, yeah, you do
Yeah.
a third, and a third,
One
third,
third,
two thirds.
Right.
A third of them off, 2/3 of them off.
The caveat is gonna be whether he can run equipment over the bridge that's down there.
Right.
There's a 3-foot railroad bridge. It's 6 by 6. With the base, he may be able to, but when he did that work, he filled the whole thing rather than using the bracket.
Yeah, to be determined.
So one bench definitely. Whether we get two, we up to him.
So I move, up to $1,000 with the condition that Scott looks at the granite and make sure that it can be salvaged.
No, it's more just like, it's not gonna be altering the historical nature of the site, that's all. I trust that you know.
Was the granite historic there?
There's like a, yeah,
It's a quarry.
it's like, it's an old quarry from the.
It's not,
from the
it's not a quarry.
1800s.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, it was a shopping area. It was just left.
Yeah,
over.
a cutting area.
So if you want, it was left over.
Really? Yeah, the actual quarry.
Yeah.
And
That
there's
was
just,
moved over to-
there were just a few remaining.
Manufacturing.
Not a whole lot of it. It's enough to do with this project, would suggest.
Thank you, Andy.
So
All in
shall
favor?
we motion to seconded?
Andy.
Lynn seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving unanimous and so carries. Okay. Echo Trail and then
Berry Acres.
Berry Acres.
Berry Acres parking. So we have to do a notice of intent. Concom. The next action is for Chuck and I, me just kind of getting in his way. Flat wetland flagging for wetlands. And then we got to get a surveyor or somebody to stamp the map, say this is where the wetlands are, and then we start preparing the NOI.
Good, I think we should.
And we're working hard to keep Chuck from actually doing physical things unless he's got doctor's clearance. So that's why we got all this, paperwork. If you had, some.
I think I have a doc appointment tomorrow and hopefully he'll give me a clean bill to get back
I
in
might, what's
action.
your doctor's name? I might call him, tell him. We need him at a desk for a little while longer. All righty, moving on. Item 3, briefly summarize Trails event. I thought that was great. Any other thoughts on it?
Yeah, so most people here were there. David was also there. The attendance was, I'd say, light, although I was happy with it. My goal was 10 new people. We had 17 new people, which is great.
I think it's important for you to define new people.
Oh, to what?
To define that
People who,
have nothing to do, have never heard of
yeah,
us,
not
just
like
came in
family
off the
members,
street.
not like regular, because like,
We
the
should,
one the year
definitely did not
before, we
count
had like 40
friends.
people, but they were all people who already used to use all the time trails. So this was new people, not family members, et cetera. About half of those people, I think, were new to town. Because they knew them.
Cool.
Some were new to trails, some were trail users from other towns.
Yeah.
14 went on and did the walk at Center School.
Yep.
Were all of them
Yeah.
from the event, or most of them maybe?
No, I think some of them hadn't been in here.
Okay,
Or it's touched in brief.
Yeah, I think what happened is that some people from the event got friends of theirs.
Oh.
Bring the trails one.
okay, so that was great.
Yeah.
People found out about it from all the means we used, from social media, the newsletter, the ad, the signs. So all the ways worked. There was no silver bullet. 3 of the signs got stolen or whatever. I've never had that happen. 3 out of 10 is a lot. Materials that we created for that event, mostly me, because I spent a lot of time making materials. They can be reused on the website and at Polyart, so they didn't go to waste. The one I liked the best was I took the Trails Club map that has a map of all the trails in the town and as a little square, but I added a name next to the square and I made it poster size. So we can certainly do that. how our website's gonna look. Similar to the Trails Club map, but with actual names. And then I'll ask here, what should we do differently? I think to me, the biggest thing is don't have it on a Saturday night, especially in the spring, because no kids. Does anybody have any other feedback on what we should do differently?
Yes, it would be good.
Baseball games usually are over in the afternoon.
We could do afternoon, we could do a Sunday
Or Sunday.
instead perhaps.
Is there a time of year that may be way better for kids?
I think later summer is like, but it's hot then or.
Vacation. if the-
Little League ends in about 2 weeks. That's 560 kids. So about 400 families in Little League on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So either earlier. And there is,
So June 11th or something is like whatever that weekend is the last. Little League. So between there and Sharon.
Also busy for other things too.
graduation. I don't think you're gonna get any good time. It's always conflicts.
Gonna be.
But we really, I think maybe we have 2 kids there and they're there.
One thing, Linda, that I think you picked up, or we heard at the other event, which was the networking event with the different committees, was to cross coordinate, right?
Right.
Because the Y had their event that day and all that stuff. So I think that thing differently would be to just sort of pre-broadcast the planet much further in advance and pre-coordinate, because maybe they can cross-advertise if it's not going to conflict.
I'm not saying we're gonna do an intro to trails again, but just any event that we might want kids at or families. Okay, other outreach stuff very quickly. We did the workday at Berry Acres in May. Attended. Oh, May was the rainy one, so only.
Yeah.
There was 3 of us.
Yeah, sorry, that's
4 of us. We had Noah.
We didn't know it.
But you got a lot done. You got the job done.
Yeah, we did.
The next workday was June 6th at the Hughes Paddle Run. Start advertising that. Do we have an idea for the July workday so we can, at the June one, mention it to people as the possibility or? So we're prepared to bring it to the next Trails Club. We always said we want to have a few workdays lined up so that when we go to Trails Club.
We don't really have many shovel, like guys mentioned in the Trails Club meeting, we don't have many shovel-ready projects. And so the only ones that are out there, there was a couple things over at Fruit Street that we could do potentially. I'm in the camp of the cattle one.
Oh, keep
Yeah,
doing it.
that just keeps
So
clearing
it needs more.
until the walls on both sides are clear.
Right, that's probably a couple.
That's a great idea. That's a
Just
huge
keep
project.
hacking away at it.
Okay,
You know, I just went through it yesterday, 2 days ago, and yeah, I want to go through with a brush cutter and get poison ivy.
Yeah, so,
It's pretty bad.
yeah.
okay. Sounds good. And then just in terms of the walks, we had the May walk was the Heron Rookery at Upton State Forest. I led that, there were 19 people and about half of them were new or rare attendees, which was great. Because we've done that walk, this is the 5th year, and the previous 4 years, I think the most we had was 9 people. And it's such a great walk. I was always so disappointed we didn't get many people. So again, people found out all the different ways from the sign to social media to and what I did this year, because the Trails Club advertises the walks, but because I was leading it, I created more social media, including a video, and I really pushed it to a lot of group social media pages in town. And I think that helped a little bit, getting it a little more exposure. So maybe I can work with John on a little more exposure in the future for certain walks. Like special ones, like the next one coming up, June 14th. Is at 1 p.m. and we're going to be doing, I say we, the Trails Club will be doing a canoe paddle at Lake Whitehall as something different. People who don't have canoes or kayaks can borrow. John is going to arrange to borrow some from people. And then the July 18th walk will be a historical one at Fruit Street. I forget the time. I think it's probably 1 PM, but I don't remember. And that's because, it's the 250th anniversary of the country, so there's a Dickman cellar pole and some historic things there. So we'll try to push that through Historic Society.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've talked about that. I think the Historical Society is participating in that as well. If not, I'll talk to Ann.
Okay,
And that-
yeah, great. Yeah.
That's July 18th.
Yeah, and I'll get you. And then I'm gonna suggest to the club in the partnering thing, most people don't know that those YMCA trails are public. So in the spirit of partnering and doing something new, I'm gonna suggest we do the YMCA trails with them in August. And then we may get new people, they may get people becoming aware of their programs too. And that's basically it on walks. And then I'm gonna move back to working on the feedback system and the website work. We did get our first feedback from a non-trails person, like just a random person. And their feedback was, can I use the trails on East Main Street? Because there's signs that say, this is private property, use at your own risk. So the sooner we can get that, we now have a real person saying, I'm not sure I should use it because of those scary signs. So, and that's all I have for outreach at this point.
And on that note, Kim Chisholm, who's 26.2, did reach out and say, hey, we are finally done with marathon and all that stuff. So time to get back going on this. So
Okay,
reach out to her.
okay,
with regard to
great.
Signs.
Great. Oh, and also going back to our networking event, the Chamber of Commerce got back to me and said their communications person, they didn't have one for a few months. So that's why they never got back to me. I know you said you had a little trouble reaching.
I reached out to them twice and got crickets.
So I think at this point they will. If not, I'll give you the email of a person I talked to if you ever need them. But
Thank you.
okay, that's it. I'm done.
Okay. All right, the town charter and open space plan. I think what were your comments on the doggy do bag system?
Right, so we talked about mostly it was snow removal, parking.
Right.
Right, and that was one of the major items that we wanted to talk about. And I did forget about the comment about the dog disposal method, right? So we have a couple cans, maybe more than a couple cans.
Hmm.
Definitely one at Echo and Center. We might even have two at Center on either end.
Yeah, we do one on the other end.
Right, and so Chuck has been gracious enough to do that. And then we heard that the DPW or Parks and Rec,
They do it.
right, they hire a company to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so to me, it's a no-brainer that we should just use the same company, just add those three baskets.
Yeah, it's not a volunteer activity or should not be a
It really
volunteer
shouldn't
activity.
be.
No, but how do we do that? Like, so how do we get onto that contract?
So
There we
I
go.
guess I want to set it back up to charter. Why should we do it? Why doesn't DPW just include it as part of it?
Then that's why I'm bringing up this town charter, but if it falls under Parks and Rec, can we get it under this summer's contract
Oh,
Mhm.
and not wait for the charter? Because the charter's not gonna happen for another 12 months.
Last I knew it was the DPW who was picking up, but evidently they changed it to.
It's a
the private
contract.
Contractor. I don't have any knowledge of that. I can't.
Okay.
Right.
So
So we're gonna find out probably from Parks and Rec. Reach out to them.
it could be, or it could be, it's either one. It's one or
Well,
the other.
somebody in this meeting mentioned Parks and Rec does it, had it through a contractor.
Yeah,
I only think it would, I didn't mention it, but I would think it would be then because they have the dog park.
That's
It's under
the only
parks.
place I was going, yeah, the dog park.
Right. Chuck's raising his hand.
He might have some.
Maybe Chuck said it.
There, at one point, and I should have copied down the name, there was a sign out by the dog park of that appeared to be an ad for the company that was dealing with their dog waste. And so it might be possible to just contract with them separately. But in any case, there are other folks that make it a profession. No, I'm sorry, not mine.
Yeah.
So Chuck, we got 3 barrels that you do, is that right?
Say again?
how many do you do? How many barrels do you pick up?
I cover four collection points. Hughes, and then 3 on the center trail. South Center, yellow post and by Main Street. And it's, the trash pickup is once a week on Thursdays. The bins don't fill up that fast, but they fill up irregularly. So keeping a regular schedule is not realistic, but it's something that you need to check periodically.
Okay.
Who's going to take the lead on that one?
Anyone here have a dog?
John, really?
Right. Someone does. Volunteered. Well, it always seemed unfair. I mean,
It's
it
not,
always seemed unfair to Chuck, who
No.
doesn't have a dog, to be the one doing it.
so I sent out an email. You think it's DPW?
I think it might be DPW, but
So I have
if
to
it's
contact
Parks and Rec, I have no
DPW
idea.
Something else. Do you want me to contact them about?
I've already reached out to DPW.
Well,
I also have to reach out to Parks and Rec. I can.
You want to ping Parks and Rec? And I can follow up with Carrie?
Okay.
And I've also seen
calling.
an ad around for like, we'll clean up your yard for you for X amount.
Oh, yeah, there's tons of businesses.
And that sign is still.
Right.
there.
Yeah, we already have a
But if
contract.
we already have, the town already uses someone, we
Correct.
could
Right,
piggyback
right.
on that.
Well, that's exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's.
We could find out what it would be and build it into our budget.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Chuck said it.
I mean, I think that would be the.
Down.
List of areas.
I think that, right.
At the entrance, so the sign for that company is at the entrance at Food Street, like we're going towards the dock. Still there, it was there yesterday. One other thing while we're at it is, garbage bins at trails. I think that should be brought up as part of the charter if we're giving more feedback.
That's definitely DPW.
So how are we giving our feedback to the charter committee? Are we consolidating? Have
It has to be, I would
we
suggest.
given it yet?
We have not, no.
No.
We should
So
So can we
consolidate.
have garbage bins?
Yeah.
Great idea.
Well, we had a list of stuff from last meeting.
Right.
Took that, was that just in the minutes?
Yeah.
Is anyone gonna follow up? Do you want to? Do you want?
Yeah.
Need to?
I can follow up. And it should just be, I think, just bullet items that we think ought to be.
I can pull them out of last week's minutes and this last month's minutes and send it.
Which does remind me, one of your questions, concerns was with regard to the trash pickup on that one trail over in Legacy South. Legacy South is responsible for their own trash pickup. That is not a DPW option.
Correct.
But the trail is not Legacy Lands, is it?
Yes, but all pickup in Legacy South is their issue.
Okay.
So they know where the pin is too. right?
You talked to Karen?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, because that's what I was gonna reach out to
Yeah,
about. Okay.
I saw solar thing after about it.
We think that Legacy is regularly filming that bit.
Yeah, they have a whole service goes through
They
that
have
place every
right.
day.
They haul out there.
Barriers,
So
yeah.
they do, there is no barrel at that location, but it's something that Legacy would have to be.
Okay, I'll reach out to Legacy. We got feedback that people, I might have mentioned it here, that people are, throwing trash all over the Legacy South parking lot. The reason it turns out, and if you've ever been there, there's like piles of cigarette butts. There's no smoking allowed in Legacy South. So people, not even outside their apartments, they can walk on the trails. So anyone who wants to smoke cigarettes or otherwise goes to the Legacy South parking lot, because that's not part of Legacy South, even though it's right there. And they smoke and drink, all they're putting around. So this woman
Where the
has,
kiosk is. Oh, the kiosk. With that parking.
that, yeah, so this woman is putting bags there, and she said it's helped. People are at least putting the trash in the bags, but she wants us to get a garbage can and put there.
Honestly, it's something, they should put a garbage can there, but we need to connect that garbage. Regular trash disposal, Legacy.
Well, get connected with the
That's what
trash
she
people
said.
like Legacy.
So she gave me the name of the manager at Legacy, so I'll reach out to them. I was gonna find out first if that would do it, but I
No,
found that out, so
Yeah.
now I'll go to Legacy.
And I did reach out about the John Gelson chief. He's gonna send over sort of draft of his OS open space plan. He's working on the 5-year update. On that, Hasn't done it yet, but he, soon, hopefully. Plan?
It's saved.
You don't say if it's the law. You have it open.
Oh, you did. Oh, yeah, I have it. Well, I have two things.
I take notes on it now.
So give me a minute here. Right, so, give me a minute here, something. So what I want to do is I want to refresh everybody's memory, if I can. Same thing, but I don't like this computer. Where is that folder? Documents, right. It's there. Documents. There, okay. So how do we hear this?
You go to.
Right, so just refreshing everybody's memory. So master plan. Great progress, everybody's living. Acting within, I think, largely. So, way back in February. I kind of volunteered to help and work with the group, Peter, Jane, and take the next iteration based on people's feedback. So what I did, and this link was shared with you guys, but I'm not sure if you guys even remember if you looked at it, basically section by section. I'm not going to go through it here, it's just a reminder. Section by section, everybody went through the document. What I did is I created consolidated by section. Things like, shortening it, adding items in terms of some great detail, groups to add and so on, including my own feedback. So these are people that had it. So it's section by section. So what I did is taking that document based on the feedback. And I incorporated every single comment in the latest document, which I've distributed out to folks. Obviously created a little organization in terms of, put like kind of content together and index page. So when I circulated it, I got favorable feedback from everybody, except for Linda had comments, which actually, as I reflected back on my comments, weren't actually far away from what I was thinking in terms of restructuring, in terms of how comprehensive the plan could be. But in an effort to stay within the framework, everybody we're on a track, we stayed with the current format. So my question to the group is, it's overarching, it's a loaded question, but where do you want to go from here with the master plan? Do you want to stick with the existing format, framework that we have and the content we have? And give feedback? We only have 10 minutes on this agenda. And then I'm happy to either, be point person or delegate, someone else could take it over to be the person to keep it current during our whatever fiscal year. For next year, if you want, keep it current, try to keep the language into what we do. Or what we could do is we could take a step back and say, okay, well, we're almost 5 months later, we're 6 months into this, we're maturing as a group. I think a lot of momentum. Do we want to take a step back and say, okay, how would we tackle this with what we know today? So how would you guys like to proceed forward?
I'm inclined with the latter.
Yeah, me too.
Just said,
However,
Look at it. Yeah, I can't tell you what we did before, really.
Well, I can, but I'm also thinking is what's the intent of it? Why do we want to use it and for whom? Like, who's the audience? Who's this for? Like initially, when we talked about this, we were all over the place.
Yeah.
And we said, we need this to kind of bring us together. Right? I don't
Exactly
think
why I offer the option, spot on.
And so we don't need to be brought together. However, do people outside this room know that? Do they need to know that? And if they need to know that, how do we want to convey that message?
Right. And the other thing is it can be a piece of like that open space plan. Sometimes they want a master plan from a trail scoop to go with it. So this document can serve two functions to also be external, to say, hey, this is what we are doing as a master plan for Hopkins Trail System.
I think it's important to have a master plan that shows direction and it shows what the guidelines are and what the purpose is
For who?
for, well, people, the general public, or the people in town. Just like people want to see a master plan for the planning board, for other areas, they also want to see that. And we may not be large enough to do that at this point, but
Well, what's your primary purpose in doing trails? The master plan should answer that question and your secondary purpose for doing it. And
Well,
it's not in the document. Yeah.
It does do that. Well, I think this document does that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to step in and say that, I guess my feedback was that, I don't know how to say this in a way that's not whatever. I didn't like the master plan at all. I just didn't feel it conveyed what I thought a master plan should convey or in the way it should. So that's the overall comment. To dig deeper, I found some other master plans online. I have worked on another committee, the Green Committee, that had a master plan. It was just, I mean, they worked on it a long time, but it was, and I'm not saying we need that, but it was, I'm not against a master plan. I kind of know what I think I want based on the Green Committee experience and based on what I've seen online, and this just doesn't even come close. So my personal opinion is I would like us to look at perhaps some other master plans from other trails organizations in the world and see what they have and come up with a different approach. I just would have so many comments on this. It was barely worth my commenting anyway.
Yeah, no, I will remember his feedback. So a couple comments. One is, I think certainly my reason why I offered the two scenarios is because I actually firmly believed in the second one as well they offered, which was we have come a long way as a committee since we first determined we needed this. That's point number one. Point number two, to Sean, I think Jane's point of who this is for. I would argue that we and future versions of we, because we're going to get new members, we're going to have changing leadership. This has got to be something that is the guardrails and the I don't know if it's the guiding guard beacon or whatever phrase you want to use, that we need to abide by and actually help us manage. And then also by the very nature will be a good communication vehicle and a good way to engage our partners like at the networking event. So that's kind of my thoughts there. And then the last comment to Linda's point, because I think we've matured. I mean, all the comments, I did the same thing on the first version. I gave a comment to the frame that was there. And at the time we discussed, do we blow this thing out or keep the framework? It was to keep the framework. So I did it in the framework, but could we make it better and keep refining this and make it an awesome structure? And a lot of the comments that Lynn had actually, if you look at the shared comments, so I literally had the exact same sections in the bottom. I suggested the same sections he did because I did a lot of the AI and but I was like, do I really want to blow up this entire thing and start from scratch? And we talked about it. So I'm open to that. It becomes a project in and of itself that takes us away potentially from some of the more immediate hands-on activities. So it's just my only word of caution is, how much do we want to create a great structure in the depth, which if the agreement was to do it, I'd be on board with it. Don't get me wrong. But it at the expense of other things, right? Or do we say, let's take a step back let's use the components, let's just use it and create a framework of what are, let's worry about the form and worry about the structure of the components and the substance, if that makes sense. So maybe we don't get into wordsmithing and formatting and capitalizing and headings, but we just say, here are the keys. Here's how we work with other groups. Here's how we do our planning. We take pieces from this and we add other pieces to it, if that makes sense. So did I confuse you? Because I'm not confused.
No. I have just an overarching question is what is the problem we're trying to solve with the master plan?
I personally think it's part of what was already said. What are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to do? But me, I really want, where are trails going to be in town in 30 years? Where are they going to be in 20 years? Where are they going to be in 10 years? Where are they going to be in 5 years? If we don't have that, we're just, like I would never, I think that's how you run a business. It's how you run an organization. You say, where are we trying to get to? Maybe we don't know the 30 year, then let's at least start with the 5 year plan. And we can build towards the future and throw things out there. But to not have a 5 year plan at least, like I see it at least as a 5 year plan and then build on it. To not have that, I feel.
And it's not a behave chart. One of the things, so how we behave, because think about when we add new members, when we dissolve, like what we're trying to prevent is the spinning that happened when this brand new committee was formed. I think that's one important thing is for consistency to keep on the rails. So even if we veer because of funding or trends or population demographics, whatever, at least the plan can veer. It's not going to be like starting from scratch. So where do you guys want to take the latter approach? And I'm happy to, with Linda and anybody's feedback, come back with I want to be very careful not to turn this into a literary exercise. I'd be very concerned about that.
That's why I want to focus on what is the problem we're trying to solve.
Well, I think we just named them a few times. Do you agree with those?
You and Scott said two different things. So
Right, but we both said them together. I mean,
I was agreeing with Linda's point. I think we need to where we're going, and I think how we behave and in order to get there. So there's sort of a operating model aspect of it is where my head's at on the journey to get to the vision or to the end goal.
and I'm happy with bullet points. I don't care about capitalization and spelling, but when somebody says, we're trying to make this the final first version, then you care about capitalization
Yeah.
and spelling.
Yeah.
I'm happy for it to be bullet points for a long time. I don't need sentences. I just
Yeah.
want the meat there to be what I would expect.
So do you want to take notes since we're probably not going to go through the document? So okay. Well, I don't think we're going to go through this document.
No, I think it
It
should
might be
be,
easier for you to
there
take.
should be another
Because it
word
might be
that gets going.
absolutely.
Peter, I think you two need to get together and come up with something. From off the side, it's too much for me.
No, understood, but, so, and we asked, if Linda's on board with it, you've just been volunteered by Jane based on your feedback, but I'm willing to work with you on that if you want to.
Sure.
Okay, so can we just go around the table and say one thing you'd like to see us come back with? So we can frame it, not miss the target? Andy?
I think it's way right now. I
Nothing to come back with?
have to.
I think I know what you're.
I haven't even looked at master plan and what.
Well, it's right. It's just
Just having
I would like just talking about, if we're, what would be the best tool that we can use as a group to keep us within a range of focus and keeping us moving forward? Very general on purpose.
that's what we're using the term master plan for. And that's one.
I think that we'll look at our yearly summary of what we accomplished. Happy with that, and I don't think that a whole lot more documentation is gonna be easier for us to achieve more of the same. First of the 5, 10, 15, and both of what we're gonna be doing is maintaining the trail systems we've already got.
I don't like that. So So.
Well, let's come back, let's come back.
To me,
Let's keep
that's-
that.
okay,
No,
sorry.
I got it. So you're saying sort of the here and now and.
Oh, of
The
course,
way
we
it's-
want to add on as we can. If we've got more parking lots and parkers, I think that's great. But,
Can I ask a favor? Would you be willing to input into this more immediate, but then not be the third of the? Not, we wouldn't weigh on you.
Well, when we met 13, 14 months ago.
Yeah.
We did the whiteboard.
Yeah.
We had all these different things that we thought would
I
be,
think that's where our framework came from.
right? And so, like, all right, so when the subgroup took all that data and put it into
We
the
didn't
master,
come, we didn't make it up ourselves.
it's just like, all right, so that's where we're coming from. That's where it bounced around. Now, you know, and Linda's saying, listen, well, we talked about having, you know, milestone goals. How come milestone goals aren't into the planet master?
Well, it is. The update I made does include them.
Well, we
But
did.
is it
We
the
worked
right,
toward
is it what
miles.
people want is another story? Because again, that out of
I
question.
think you're
But I took what people gave as feedback.
right. There are milestones in there, but it's toward the end and it's not really magnifying at all. I think what I'm hearing from Linda is that maybe that should be the whole outline of the whole framework.
No, but I'd like to see it be far more the drive of the document.
Yeah, so that is different and that's okay.
Yeah.
So maybe if you could put some kind of visual, you know.
we can all understand why maintaining our current trails isn't footprint for us to focus on. Now, we're including with that. Say we want to improve our web interface, we want to make it better to the public, but we've got plenty of trails already. I'd like for the town to add more sidewalks and parking lots and all of that. And, I'm all in favor of grabbing more land whenever we can, but I can't envision how much land we're gonna get 25 years from now, and we're running out of land that we can get. So mostly, I think we've got to cement, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of exposing ourselves to the public. I think a lot of what we're going to want to do is maintain all these activities that we've got and try to intrigue people to using the land. That's what our goal is, but it's not really. Not like that we're developing something that isn't already there. We've already got one of the finest trail systems in Massachusetts, I think. Maintaining that and just making it more clear to the public. I think it's pretty on its own. So as far as the existing master plan, I'm in favor of sticking it up on the website. And
Sure, that was option one. Yeah.
if people want to change a little piece of it here and there, that's fine. I think maybe we should review it every 4 months. But the continuously work on it, I think a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Well, that's my concern is
Put a lot
to
of work.
get buried in the hole.
Constantly did ask for feedback and then it's all of a sudden at the very end. Discovering.
No, I mean, it's dramatically different from where we were.
No, it's very
In the
different.
last iteration, the feedback. So I'm okay with, if you guys are okay closing the conversation, Linda and I will take this feedback. We'll talk about
Do you
it.
have anything you want to add, Vivian?
Oh, sorry, I didn't go all the way around the table. Sorry about that.
No, so I received Linda's comments and some thoughts on it. And I took that and incorporated it, because I think a lot of the document and they kind of fit together, as you're pointing out. I have, in basically this is my, plane ride work. So I did this and, poor Jane got the dint of another plane trip, but, and I wasn't able. I was on these plane trips for work. I made, I had plenty of time to think about and come up with comments. I had no time to actually share them with you, which is why they showed up today. So I apologize for that. I didn't do the same thing for Scott because it was, I had to pick one, but same deal. I was,
That's fine.
We jumped on you.
yeah. Well, I thought hers was a more immediate need.
Yeah.
The master plan, I think, is a bigger.
Do you want to give that feedback?
I'll give you that
Us
feedback.
three will sort of,
Yeah, I think so. And
all right, sounds good.
I mean, I don't think it's a lot of work to get to where it needs to be. And then to Ken's point, we dump it and, we look at it another year from now. I mean, I really, it is, I think just setting up a framework, most of it's already here.
Yeah, and part of it is, goes back
To Sean saying, we're already doing it, so.
we are, I mean, the group, I mean, as I reflected back, as I prepared for this meeting today, it's incredible how far this group has come since we first sat around the table. It's incredible.
We've got it.
So we are living what we aspired to do as we started Sean facilitating team on the board. I think we're living it, but again, I think it's important to ensure that we don't stray. Not that we are straying. It's not to write the course anymore. It's to ensure we stay on course. That's all.
Mhm.
I'm not a speechwriter. As Scott just said. All right, anyways, so
Look, I had some signs that I didn't even know we were doing, and I didn't know that Paul was doing either. More numbered signs, what to do.
I'm sorry, what?
So do,
Budget?
good on, yeah,
Are we on
I can
budget?
talk about budget, yeah.
That's a good segue.
Yeah, so I sent out that report. Yeah,
yeah, really good.
No, I think it's black and white. It is what it is.
Sounds good.
That's the joy
I appreciate it. I know it.
Yeah. and,
No
you know,
opinions. It
another
is what it is.
Town meeting voted more
Yeah.
money for us, so.
Yeah,
and-
30 grand, right?
And Elaine,
I think that's
you know,
great.
did say she appreciates us getting things done too. So we were talking when I was out walking with her and looking at the fence. That needed to get done along, Center Trail. She's like, yeah, well, you know, he was talking to Lance, saying, yeah, these guys are getting stuff done. So
So,
that's appreciated.
yeah, so from prior treasurer hats, and existing on the historical commission, you guys, you're probably aware, it's a very, pivotal time potentially, all right? So right now, when post, town meeting, budgets, finance, I think they even have a new person in finance again. I think you probably want to sit down before June 30th with them and saying, here's what we expect to be transferred and stuff like that. Just,
You have to give it to them in writing, at least what, a month before. It has to be.
well, I think that's already been submitted, all that, they already have, right, for the budget.
What are you talking?
If you
about?
wanted to,
No, so the town appropriation for funds
Yeah.
doesn't always it doesn't automatically happen, is what I've learned. You kind
So
of,
this, we got 30 grand at town meeting.
right.
And you're saying that's not automatic.
It's not a guarantee that all of a sudden July 1st or whatever, we're going to wake up and it's going to be in the account and the ledger and all ready to go, or even at any point. In the historical commission, what happened is we got 10,000 approved, we got 1,000 put in the account and we were locked out of the year.
All right.
So I'm just saying it happens.
Sure.
I'm not saying it will
So
happen. I'm
what's
saying
the
that
advice?
the advice is the last week of June or
Is this
thereabouts,
Cindy?
Sydney or someone.
I'll send Cindy an email tomorrow.
Yeah. Just to verify, it's more just a confirmation that we got their act together and all.
We're two peas in a pod, Cindy and I.
wonderful.
So she still works.
You both numbers geeks, and that.
She loves my spreadsheet.
I bet you do.
Yeah. Yeah, someone going from dealing with accounting from me and then someone going to Sean with an actual accountant, you know.
I just also wonder if we should try to break up what that 30,000 will go to. And from an outreach perspective, I come here with requests, but they're not necessarily, did we do that already?
We did
Yeah.
have a budget.
We broke up the 30,000.
No, not.
Well, and there's a 10,000.
30,000.
So I guess I just would like to see if we can do that to
Break up
set-
how,
like, how much do we?
How much is
So I don't
maintenance?
just come here and say, hey, can we spend 1,000 on advertising? We should sort of have a budget for the year for certain things.
Public you're right.
Mowing was certainly one we can predict. Some of our projects, we have plans.
I
we
know
have
we've
projects.
listed those in the past, in past meetings, we went down and listed.
it's in that spreadsheet,
Yeah.
what her spend was. So if you,
Yeah.
yeah, if,
Right, but can we have a plan for how the 30,000 is
I
going to be
think she's
spent?
looking for a list of 1 through 13.
well, when you look at what we spent last year, 90% were projects.
That's what I think.
Right,
10% was recurring, mowing.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna spend.
Well, no, we also spent like about 1,000,
In
1,200 on outreach.
Oh, that's true.
And I think. we'll do
Well,
that
for
as well.
something we haven't done in the past.
We're gonna continue to do that.
We didn't do that in the past, like the 2 events we didn't do in the past.
Yeah, no, we did stuff on TCMC. When you say in the past, what do you mean?
Well, that's what I'm like looking at, like, what's this recurring stuff that we're dealing with? I mean, and
I guess I just think we should have a budget.
I think that should be called for next.
reference, that's what I'm
Sorry,
saying.
what?
What's my point of reference? Like,
So,
sure, I say 100%, I would say, okay, we allocate, 2,000 for mowing. So 28,000 is
But you're right.
projects.
I'm sorry, we know that, but I don't know how much mowing is.
Yeah, that's what I said, 2,000.
And then
Linda, no, sorry.
but the point is, we've got probably this point, 20,000, that at this point, we have no idea that we're gonna spend it on. Parking is gonna come up as an issue or at some different place. And the point of having the 30,000 is that we've been doing a good job. It's not a ton of money, but the town is getting good bang for its buck. We are not gonna know what that is, what that money is gonna be used for until, we want
We
to.
have a line item that says
We have
budget.
a list of
and you have
projects that go out through at least half of the year, and we know what they cost, I don't know.
No, it's
Look
not
at
gonna
the
be
Excel
that.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Seriously, literally, it's all there detailed
Yeah.
out.
But
And
does
it-
it say by when they'll be spent?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 5 months. I mean,
Yeah.
when we paid for it.
Okay, so then we're just missing things that aren't part of projects officially.
If anybody
now-
wanted
Okay,
to
the
know-
spreadsheet has 20 items on it that went out the door this year. This fiscal year, the 25, 26,
So that's.
has 20 items that are broken out as to who it went out to and what was it for and when was it paid. And if you want to propose a budget based on that information,
But I think what I'm also hearing is just easier to leave it.
I'm like, why put that extra effort? I just don't see it, but.
Okay, so we can agree to disagree. I like
No.
to keep a budget. I don't.
We have a budget, it's 30,000.
Can I publish our retrospective budget?
Linda's advocating for an itemized line item.
More so,
And then, yeah,
I'd like to just take,
we might not be big enough.
I'd like to take Linda's point and say, the next meeting, people bring to the table, if they have anything, it is beyond a project. Like whether it's, I'm making this up, website work, or whether there's 3 events that we want to do, we can at least weigh it. And, maybe we spread things out or whatever, in case a big project comes up, but at least earmark as appropriate, or decide not to.
Well, I
Earmark.
liked
I'm not
Linda's-
talking about itemizing everything.
I don't know, but a lot of it could go under the budget of projects and outreach.
Yeah.
What else? What else?
I think that's where Linda's.
Well, at the current, I did break out the mowing between, so we had the biennial and the annual.
So I think we need to make sure and protect our best interest on whether it's outreach or a couple things that are priorities, even if it's a little bit of money to set aside. And then if something big comes up, we make a decision, well, we're not going to do those 3 events. We're going to earmark the money over it. I mean, we could always reallocate, but at least in the beginning, not every line item, because we don't know it, but at least a couple big things that people bring it to the table. If nothing gets brought to the table, it's a non-issue. That's why
Everybody has access to this information. It's all on the spreadsheet.
I mean, it's up to them.
Yeah, no, what's your point of reference to go forward?
a proposal that could come from way over there that says, there's this awesome Massachusetts Trails event. And I think we should present that. Sure. I'm
Okay.
just saying, it's something that hasn't historically been, because we're maturing and gaining momentum. And maybe there's something else that exists. that I don't know.
Miscellaneous of
Yeah.
those works.
So we haven't done.
Right, so basically your point is, if people want to come to the next, we'll keep the budget item in here. If people want to come to the next meeting and say, I'd like to, in our
Earmark.
2027 budget, earmark X dollars,
Yeah.
we can do it, and Sean will then put it in the website and we'll call it good.
Perfect.
And on that note, anything else we want to talk about?
I would like us to soon start thinking about signs. Like, we keep saying, oh, we're gonna update our signs and add signs, because I'd like us to add that as a project at some point. It's not a project, it's.
Put on a
There's
list
a
of
lot of new
future
trails,
items.
Signage.
Like, are you-
Kiosks.
see, if
You talking
I think
blazes?
an agenda item for, You know,
Whereas-
kind of like ongoing future items or list or something like that.
I think as a project that we start talking about, getting a subgroup together to see what signs are needed, what are standards for signs are.
I think that is, thanks. So right now, two of our.
So just Ken, you up for spearheading that?
Well, what I suppose, but I want to, before I say that in the spirit, I want to understand what you're doing beyond what's already there. So what's already there? So I'm excluding state forests and stuff. Okay, we're not talking about them. Of the town land, of the two of the biggest properties with Fruit Street and Cameron Woods, we've got an extensive set of signs in place now, right? Signs to supplement those or signs in addition to those in the same places?
No, I mean,
No.
signs like those.
Like those and other trails. That's what I wanted to know.
So-
Okay.
So we set Cameron and Fruit Street as essentially that's our gold standard
Yes,
at this point.
yes.
Every other trail system in town, how does it compare to that and what does it need?
Right,
And we inventory that.
right, fine. So, what I realized, does anybody know how there got to be intersection signs in? So, in Greenwood, somebody, I did I know? Or maybe somebody.
Paul must have,
It's
in
probably
Greenwood.
a separate, if you trust these.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're talking up there, it's either SVT or Hall.
But I don't remember Halton.
Maybe it was Steve Lewandowski.
Probably.
But anyway, the same, it looked very similar to the signs that we got at Fruit Street. And
That's good.
is Chuck there still? And, you know, what I mean, we've got the numbered signs. So I don't know what the pattern is because I hadn't seen them before, but to my surprise, there were signs at the intersections. So
So I think Chuck, I don't know, but I think this is the kind of thing that we
Put
have
on
a sign
agenda.
project.
Yeah.
This is.
And that's what I was asking him, if we willing and able to spearhead this subgroup.
I
I have one thing.
I might be most useful on that, actually, as
Right.
opposed to the trail stuff, because as a new user, I can tell you,
There you go.
our
Yeah.
signage is bad.
Yeah.
We just, and having been there.
And it's better than a lot of other places.
Yeah, no, it is okay. I don't mean it as a,
Yes.
and
It's just a lot to
better
it.
than it used to be as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the important point is to make sure that new users can find their way, and that's
Right.
Yeah.
as people who've used the trails a lot, and sometimes
Right,
we miss that
Yeah.
piece.
right.
No, and so Andy and Ken,
Well,
Yeah,
next
Nice.
time around, walking with the ticks in the water, we'll talk about this too.
Obviously, once we've got a set of trails in Legacy South, but which are actually, they're gonna be the ones that we're gonna maintain. And that, but just, we could already do it.
I do have anything to do with that.
I don't think we know where the trails are.
We're good on the signs.
yeah, okay,
Um,
one meeting.
So we have there was that green meeting a few weeks ago. Right? Yes, they did talk about the infrastructure projects, right? And they were very grateful that somebody from our committee was there to talk about the infrastructure projects. They were unaware of us thinking about rerouting around the water retention base, the berm at Legacy North, because that's the area in which they were thinking about doing their infrastructure project. So they said they're gonna do a site walk. They'll reach out to me when they do the next site walk to do. They're gonna do two infrastructure projects. One's gonna be likely by the Golden Pond facility, Ice House Pond, and then the other one is Legacy North.
What are they gonna do with Ice House?
I don't know. I'm guessing along the sidewalk up against the lake or the pond. I don't know though.
I missed the NSC.
It's,
The green with the green.
it's this SGC,
Grizzly.
Sustainable Green Committee.
Yeah.
Is doing stormwater, well, the SGC is in the towns. Julia, that
Yeah,
group
right,
is
yeah.
doing in stormwater
They got a grant.
infrastructure.
Oh, okay.
And like, I think it's, a lot like plantings and drainage and things like that. So it sounds like it's legacy.
And one at Ice House Pond.
And the one you're doing at Legacy Farm House, you guys think much of fun to build the underground.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. They said they're gonna do a sidewalk and I can bring back more information after I do the sidewalk. I'm not gonna speculate.
Yeah.
I just know.
So I have one quick thing.
What I do know though is I'm glad we were there and I'm glad we were able to talk to them and they're aware of our initiatives.
Thank you for doing
Yeah.
that.
So through the chair, one quick FYI. So my endless endeavor to find a home for the water troughs, the ones behind the fire department. So I'll give you the quickest version of the story. So the DPW in particular, but a couple people are not overly excited about putting the trough with the date on it by the gas station at the corner of Grove and Main. Because of the location and the height restrictions and stuff like that. But there is a spot to get it there, and I kind of want to get it there, to be honest with you, so I'm a little biased. And the garden club's in favor of it. But there's still a chance that it doesn't go there. And so there'll be two water troughs, because they look like they will separate. Confirm that, met with Carrie and team and this guy Colin. So I put it as an FYI for if anybody has any suggestions or requests. You guys know what they look like. They're big. They are semi-hollowed, big bowls. They used to be horse troughs. Rumor has it they did down in Hayden. One was Hayden Row and one was in the middle down by the common. I wouldn't know. But let me know.
So
offline
what
or-
is your question?
My question is if anybody has any thoughts or suggestions around trails or anywhere around town, you could approach me because might be an alternative location.
So your question is, do you have suggestions for an alternative?
Alternative
location?
locations.
How about the comment? Have they discussed?
Comments too crowded. There's a lot of things going on there.
I think Hughes is the place.
What's that?
Maybe Hughes.
I think they've.
Views have been brought up. That's one of the reasons why I bring it up, but whereabouts and
They have
yeah.
high visibility.
is one. And then the front of Center Trail, because of all the stuff going on there and the shade is not a good spot. So you need a sunny spot. So just let me know. Doesn't have to be a topic, but
Sure that.
I want to get now. I'm like determined to find a good home. for
Yeah.
these things.
No, they're special. I think they do represent a lot of history.
All right.
Have you seen you?
That's what I got.
Yeah, I'll get his place.
Nice. It's an old farm.
Old farm, exactly.
We vote to adjourn.
And also,
Move to adjourn.
Also, second, we're good. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Discussion on horse trough can be continued as a sidebar. All righty.
Is there a reason you use isn't one of them?
Oh, okay.
Well, and there's two, and there wasn't a location planned for the second. So,
Okay.
Colin had said